year we've had 27.
CDC data shows a six-fold increase in 2024, with many children missing key vaccines. St. Louis is ending its minority and women-owned business goals for construction contracts. Mayor Kara Spencer says new federal rules ban promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Lawrence Taylor says he doesn't know why he was picked for President Trump's Youth Fitness Council. The ex-NFL star, a registered sex offender, joined the White House event, sparking backlash over his past and President Trump's decision to include him. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Wake up, New Orleans, and happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton. He is traveling. He's at the National Association of Black Journalists, but he will join us by phone this morning. It is Wednesday. We're halfway through the week, y'all, and at the 8 o'clock hour, we'll hear from the head of the RTA, Miss Lona Edwards herself, talking about the community updates and scheduling, etc. And that etc. normally means there's more. So if you want to join the conversation or listen in, be sure that your dial is on 12:30 a.m. or you are tuned in via any of our social media streaming platforms, because we will hear from the CEO of RTA at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, and the number is 504-582-9422 if you would like to join the conversation. Listen, I do know that it is imperative to talk to the head of RTA. As I've been Step Up has been hosting, I have been moderating these forums for the potential elected officials, those who are continuing to vie to continue to represent you, and those who are challenging those seats. The topic of the RTA came up in almost each and every forum. So I think it's only appropriate that we hear from the head of RTA to hopefully address some of those concerns and those assertions, and who better to hear it from than the CEO herself. So if you want to join that conversation, or if you have a concern or even a compliment for the services, the number is 504-582-9422. That will happen at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Good morning, Will. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. How's it going out there?
Good morning, New Orleans. Good morning, Dr. Wyatt. How are you? Will Sutton dialing in from Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, I've been telling the folk you were traveling for the conference, for the NABJ conference. Have you gotten into the thick of things just yet, or is today your first full day of events?
Today is the first full day. We are celebrating the 50th anniversary of this dynamic organization, 50 years since our founders founded the organization in 1975 in Washington, D.C. And I want to give a shout out to all 44. We've lost a number of them along the way. But, in terms of organizing and gathering and talking, discussing and debating, and, one of the things I want to note in the context of NABJ, but just community and organizing generally, we have 44 founders of this organization. There were not 44 people in the room. There were probably about 100 people in the room. And what that means is there were a number of other people, for their own reasons, who decided they were not going to put pen to paper and sign on to create this organization out of fear, retribution, income loss, or whatever. But they decided for whatever reason not to participate other than to be in the room. And these are the sisters and the brothers who decided to step up and say, this is not just important for us and others like us, but this is important for the coverage of our communities. We need to be in these spaces, and we need to see where things are wrong and work to establish different ways of covering our very own communities. And at the time, there were very few who were in any type of supervisory or editor or producer role because it was coming out of the Kerner Report and the 60s and early 70s. And so they were still considering letting us into some of these newsrooms. And then we had our brothers and sisters with Black media. We wanted more respect for them and to elevate them as a part of this and had been a broader and more inclusive founding of this organization. And that I'm happy to see that has continued through the various years of NABJ leadership. So yesterday we had a pre-convention gathering with the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists at the fabulous Cleveland Public Library. We had a number of elected officials out there, and of course, NABJ President Ken Lemon and other board members. And so it was a nice opportunity for local Black journalists and community members to meet those of us who live elsewhere, and got to meet and greet and talk to about what Black Cleveland is all about. So we're looking forward to soak up some Black Cleveland this week in addition to our convention.
Well, are you guys going to address the defunding of NPR and PBS as a part of this convention?
Yeah, there are, I've lost count, but there are more than 90 workshops, panels, and so forth. And matter of fact, NPR is one of the exhibitors and sponsors of the convention. So there will be a conversation on one of the days about the status of, well, first of all, in multiple days, every day there's something about what's going on with the landscape of this nation, the nation, and then in that context, looking at news media in particular and media generally, and the role or the changing role that Mr. 47 continues to push on to deny access and not answer questions, and the importance of us to push back and ask questions that maybe are uncomfortable, but that should be asked, and to look at the way funding cuts are affecting our communities. So on each day, there's going to be conversations about that in some different spaces, and I'm very much looking forward to the conversation about the public media funding. And it's either Friday or Saturday, there will be a Hurricane Katrina film and panel. Actually, Hurricane Katrina is going to be talked about a couple of different points during the week as well. So it should be a really interesting and fascinating convention, especially at this time. We certainly didn't plan for the 50th anniversary convention to have all of these Trump-infused elements that are upsetting people and causing people real harm. And one of the things that will be discussed, I was talking with a former president just last night, one of the things that will be discussed is the continued importance of stepping up and speaking out as journalists. And interesting, but reality, there's some people who don't want to participate in that forum because they're concerned about their job. I'm going to be there because I think it's important, and I'm looking out, as so many others are, for the future journalists and the young journalists who are coming along. Yeah,
well, I think media is important, and I think Black media is important as well. And I do want to ask if you guys address the responsibility of Black journalism in terms of how we tell Black stories and how we frame narratives around Black stories. Is that ever a topic at the NABJ conference?
every single year, and not just during the convention time, with our local chapters and our regional conferences and our NABJ Institute programs. That is integral to what we do, and a key part of what the founders said the National Association of Black Journalists would be about, not just having Black journalists gather and support each other, but to evaluate and assess, be a part of monitoring. For decades, we've had NABJ monitoring committees, and the organization regularly looks at what coverage that is unfair, or coverage that should have gone in a different direction, or that kind of thing. And so the NABJ.org is the main website for the organization, and the NABJ convention website is a different way. But there'll be a number of things coming out of there this week, and certainly that is something that is it's embedded into the founding of the organization, is to look at the way our communities are covered.
Yeah, well, I think that is important. I always have an issue with how stories are told from our community's perspective, and I'm very serious about making sure that media respects that. I just have that. That's just an issue of mine. I think it's important that if we have representation, that the representation in media also respects the way that stories are told, because our perspective and how our community operates is much different than how other stories are told in the paper and how they make the headlines. And we all know that that's a pure fact. And I'm just hoping that those topics come up so that we have a duty to tell our stories the way that honors our humanities as well. That's just always been a question of mine. But I'm glad that you're there. There's a lot to talk about today. There's been yet another update in terms of the sanitation contract, because as we know, it went to the appeals court on the 4th.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm.
There's an
The
update
5th, right.
there. There's also an update as it relates to Planned Parenthood. We have a response from our Congressman Troy Carter that we're going to share on air as it relates to the shutting down of Planned Parenthood all across the state of Louisiana. The current administration is counting it as a win in terms of Governor Landry and his administration. They are championing this thing, the closure of Planned Parenthood, as a win. Our congressman has something to say on that front. There's also been some conversations around second line parades and the New Orleans culture that I think our community needs to lean more into and understand what's going on, because there are strict enforcements and regulations, and we want to know from the listening audience, do you see that or do you feel that as an attack on the culture of New Orleans? We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break, as well as this idea that there was a state of emergency declared at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. I talked about it briefly on yesterday. Everybody knows that facility as Angola. Well, now our government here in the state of Louisiana is in talks with the Trump administration to run an immigration jail inside of the place that he just declared a state of emergency. So I am confusion on that one. So we'll talk about that, and the infamous Gator program. Even though we continue to tell folks the reality of that program, I guess it's not real until the others tell it to you. So only about 80 kindergartners of the 4,500 who were eligible and applied received an LA Gator voucher. Let's just call it what it is. It's a voucher. And I wonder why that is. The governor touted this thing. He pushed all kind of resources behind it, telling folk that they would be able to have access to it. But of the 5,000, I think it was almost 6,000 grants, according to the article. Over less than 2% of the more than 5,800 grants awarded for the upcoming year went to rising kindergartners. And then it says only about 80 of the 4,500 eligible kindergartens who apply receive grants through LA Gator. I'm confused, because there is. We're gonna talk about it, because I think that we need to start really having honest conversations about carrots that are being dangled in front of us, and we fall for it every single time. And then, the reason this conversation is so important to me is because this idea of the LA Gator program was really pitting these small private schools that are headed by Black leaders. It was pitting them against public institutions who were saying, in order for this program to thrive, they're going to have to strip some funding from the public sphere, and they couldn't understand that. And I sat down with a couple of them personally to get them to understand what that meant. Yes, I want your school to thrive, but I do not want your school to thrive at the expense of the kindergartens who rely on public education and public seats to make certain that they have somewhere to go. So yes, they could have chosen your facility. They could have, and if they do, great. But I don't want you to be able to stack the deck against public schools, because we already have decks stacked against us. And the more they continue to pull away from the public space, the more and more they're going to disservice children that you don't even think about, because you're so busy trying to focus on the kids that you are servicing, but you're servicing them at the expense of the public school structure. And that was just a fact. But no, it was an argument there, and not like a nasty argument, just a discourse there. But now the numbers are letting you know that was never fleshed out well enough to ensure that even the kids that you're servicing will actually be eligible. Well, they're eligible, but they actually will get to receive an LA Gator scholarship, in quotation marks, to attend your school. And so I don't know if you've been following
Dr.
that.
White. Yeah, Dr. White. One of the things about this important issue is the legislative process. Because the questions and concerns that you have were brought up during the legislative process, and the legislators and the Landry administration wouldn't answer the questions about the details.
Well, that's my issue, though, Will. If folk are coming to try to strip monies away from entities that already exist, they shouldn't be able to not answer questions, and you're taking funding.
That's right.
You should not be able to not answer questions. If you can't answer questions, then we shouldn't fund it. I just don't understand how we did not see that this was going to affect so many children in a negative way, but we're allowing our elected officials to go before the very boards that are supposed to finance them and not answer questions. I feel like that about the national level. How do you go before the Senate and don't answer questions, but you're looking for us to fund your budget? Then if you don't have the answers, we don't have the money. How about that? So
Right,
I don't know.
right.
We're gonna talk about it. We got to go to break, but when we come back, there's so many stories that are out there. We want to just make certain that we streamline them for you. So I hope you keep listening, because we're gonna keep talking right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
All day long.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. First up, a reminder to take it slow on the road as more students return to class this morning. St. John, St. James, and Terrebonne Parish all start the new school year today. Students in Orleans Parish began their back-to-school journey on Monday with a staggered start. Then a building in the Lower Garden District is set to be demolished after partially collapsing along Magazine Street yesterday afternoon. That building near Grigri and Lily's is the second building to collapse in the area in less than a year. Another building collapsed on the same block last December. No one was hurt in either incident. Finally, two court cases we're keeping a close eye on this morning. Daniel Callahan will be rearraigned today, and sources say he could take a plea deal. Callahan is accused of killing and kidnapping a La Roger mother and her daughter last June. He's scheduled to be in federal court in New Orleans at 2 p.m. Also in court this week, Antoine Massey, one of the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail back in May. His attorney is requesting a speedy trial. The prosecution must now file a response to that request before a pretrial hearing, which is scheduled for this Friday. Right now, his trial for the escape is scheduled for October. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Nimbus is a black-owned marketing agency that's done successful work for brands like KFC, Jack Daniels, and Toyota. The firm focuses on making an authentic connection to people of color. Co-founder and CEO Stacey Wade says something as simple as music choice can be the difference between an ad that panders to black people and one that makes a genuine connection.
There are certain things that we're just going to know if that was a top 100 or was that something that was a subculture that's only played at this particular time with this particular group of people, and that's who it's going to resonate to. And that's where you start to get the low-key influencers. And low-key influencers are going to influence the influencer. And that's where you start to get that transformational change with the brand as opposed to transaction.
Subtle choices like that make all the difference between a brand that's winning new customers and one with a commercial that's only background noise. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Pro Savings Days are back at Lowe's. Right now, get a 4-piece GE kitchen suite for under $2,000. Plus, get a free DeWalt 20-volt Max XR 8-amp-hour battery when you buy a select DeWalt tool. Save big with deals that work as hard as you do. Shop Pro Savings Days in-store or online today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 8/1. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Seems like back to school happens earlier each year.
First day of school coming in hot.
And this year, my kids had massive supply lists.
Folders, notebooks, and pens. Oh, the humanity.
But Staples had everything I needed, with some items just 25 cents.
Watch the small print.
No. My back to school budget was saved by Staples Easy Button.
Everything for school, in stock and as low as 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app. In 23 while supplies last.
Hoops, Heat, The Truth, on demand. Ball Don't Lie is now live on all podcast platforms. Tap in, search WBOK Media, find Ball Don't Lie, and bring the fire with you wherever you go. Download, share, and leave that 5-star review, because the game doesn't stop when the show ends.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor. We're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and on the phone is my co-host, Will Sutton, who is attending the National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Cleveland. We have been talking about this voucher program. We could just call it what it is, the Alligator program, and how it only serviced about 80 rising kindergartners of the nearly 5,000 who applied for placement. I mean, to be fair, it's 4,500 eligible incoming kindergartners who applied. Only 80 of them received grants through Alligator, but there were 5,800 grants awarded. So if there were 5,800 grants awarded and only 80 of them were rising kindergartners, where did the rest of the vouchers go, Will Sutton? Because one of the concerns about this was, for me, was the idea that they were selling this to low-income families as a way to get your babies out of failing DNF schools to send them over to the private sector, and you would have a better opportunity over there. But in reality, a lot of this money went to folk who could already afford private school. And this is what I knew would happen. So now they're using this as a subsidy so that they don't have to pay as much as they would typically pay, as opposed to the family who needs it the most not getting any of it. That was my concern. Always has been my concern. The fact that we are pulling kids from the public schools, just like we did, with this pre-Katrina, post-Katrina conversation. You came in on this banner of reform saying, why do you have to settle for a DF school when you can use the One app and you can choose the school that you want your baby to go to? But they don't tell you got to choose 12 of them. Because if I got to choose a school, why I need 12 options? I want that school. That's where I want to go. It's not that simple, though, because what they won't tell you is there are not enough seats in those high-performing, high-quality schools that all of y'all want. So everybody's putting those 5 or 6 schools on One app. How many of y'all think y'all gonna get them? That's the reality of it. That's the same thing that's happening here. There aren't but a number of available seats because a lot of these seats are going to families who could already afford private school, whose children were already in private school. So they're using this LA Gator as a subsidy, not necessarily as a way to pay for it, which is what most of our families need. So therein lies the problem. And so when you try to explain this to folk, they think that you're talking negative about a program that they want to have access to. No, I'm not. I want you to have access to the best of everything. But I want you to understand what asking for this will mean for the children whose families can't even afford a subsidy to go to a private institution. And guess what their solution is, Will Sutton? Now they're telling the families, guess what? Y'all got to go back to them public schools that y'all didn't want y'all babies to go to in the first place because they actually have seats. So you need to go over there because we don't have seats over here. So in order for the baby to actually have some form of schooling, you got to go back to the thing you didn't want, the thing that we told you we could do better than, but we didn't really think this thing through in terms of capacity. So now all the hopes and dreams that you had about your baby either continuing to go to this private school or to go to this private school for the first time, those dreams are shattered because now you have to go back to the public school that you didn't want because we don't have no seats for you over here. That's basically what has happened.
Yeah, it's the same thing that is happening with things like no tax on tips. Sounds good, especially in a place like New Orleans. No tax on tips. That would be very helpful to a lot of people. But they didn't say that it's only temporary, and they didn't say it doesn't apply to everybody, and they didn't say that it's going to be taxable income, but then you're going to have to pay your taxes on those tips, and then we'll look at a credit. They didn't say any of that.
But this is my issue, though, Will. This is my issue with going before fiduciary bodies asking for funding for things. If you promise us something, and this is why we funded it, because you told us X, Y, and Z would happen. If you are not producing X, Y, and Z, how come it's the people that hold the bag for that? Why is it the families on the hook to pay for $300, $400, $5,000 in tuition that you told them they wouldn't have to pay? And now school is starting and these folk are in the lurch because now you have to either come up with the money or you have to go back to the public space. And I don't think public schools should be held as some type of catch-all or secondary option, or, if you don't get in there, at least you can come here. That's not what our public schools should be about. It's not a landfill. It's not a trash mine. It's not that. We have quality teachers. We have quality spaces. And if teachers actually could cut the rope and let teachers actually teach, we would have quality schools all over the city. But you see, they give us these scripts to read. They tell us how to do mathematics. They tell us how to control culture at the school. And then they wonder why we have these one-size-don't-fit-everybody boxes that y'all trying to force kids into. See, that's the problem. We don't hold these people accountable to the things that they promised us. And then when they don't produce, the people who are in the worst positions are left holding the bag. I have a problem with that. Because if you went to the fiduciary body and you promised these things, how come you can just say, oh, well, we don't have enough seats. You just got to go back. How is that okay? But you know what the Landry administration is saying? The Landry administration is saying they only were funded $43.5 million for the program and they asked for almost $100 million, right? So they're saying they didn't get enough money. But think about what that would mean for public schools. In order for me to give you that kind of money, where you think it's going to come from, Will Sutton? They always cut education and healthcare when they got a bright idea about something they want to do. So you're going to have more people can't read and more sick people running around because y'all want to experiment with vouchers. That's what you want to do, because you can't tell me the quality of education. You can't tell it to me, because you're not measuring apples against apples. So you can't tell me that they're teaching better in those facilities. You can't tell me anything about the outcome of academia is better. So why is it that we're selling the fallacy that if you go to this private entity, somehow your babies are going to learn more, they're going to be safer, they don't have to worry about all of the issues that are going on in public schools, but yet those same families don't have those seats, and guess what? They have to go back to the school that they allowed these people to talk so bad about. Because I would go out on a limb and say, if I ask for $100 million, we could make every school in the city of New Orleans, even the closed ones, revitalize them and make them well for $100 million. But they've had billions of dollars, and they still have not done what they said that they were going to do. And that was the assault on K-12. Now you got preschool babies trying to rise up into kindergarten, and they don't have the funding that y'all promised because y'all sold them this alligator dream. Somebody should be held accountable for that, Will. I don't understand how we allow folk to get funded based on what they tell us they're going to do. They don't do that thing, and then the people in the most vulnerable positions are left out in the cold. That's not okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about this is it's a. Okay. The thing about it is that people have to be paying attention to it, and it gets to the point where it's late, and parents have made decisions thinking they're going to get something, and they're not going to get it, and they're not going to get it because not enough people were paying attention to what was going on. If it's okay with you and Narn, the executive director of Drew Berry has walked in. Is that possible now or in a few minutes? He's got about 5-6 minutes.
I mean, you can. We got about 2 minutes. We have some callers on the line as well talking about this topic.
Okay.
But I mean, we could grab them real quick.
Okay. All right. So let me introduce to you all and to the WBOK family audience, Mr. Drew Berry, a longtime friend, longtime member of the National Association of Black Journalists. We go way back where we were much younger in our careers, having a good time and moving things along. But right now, we've got the man who's responsible for this incredible national convention, and he's only got a few minutes because he got things to tend to. I'm going to ask him to give an overview, and Dr. White, if you got a question for him, chime in. I'm going to hand my phone so that we don't have to go through some other technical things. Mr. Berry, former news director, WDSU too.
No. I was a WVUE.
Sorry,
producer there. That's where I met my wife in New Orleans. Are you kidding me? How's it going?
Hi,
Hello
Mr.
there.
Berry. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Thank you.
So we're glad to have you. How's the convention?
Well, we're just starting, and we're going to have about 3,000 people here, and I can see the buzzing is already. I mean, they're buzzing everywhere. People are on quite a very high, a natural high, because it's they know they get a lot of training. It's like a family reunion. They get to talk to recruiters. And this is the 50th anniversary of this. 50 years that, and we have so many of our founders will actually be here. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I as I said to Will, I want to make certain that one of the topics that we're discussing is Black media and the importance of Black media and the importance of the protection of Black media, which is why what we do here at WBOK is so important, because there's nobody on the airwaves talking about our lived experience from a Black perspective in honesty and in fullness, right? And so I want to make certain that the journalists who are gathering there understand the importance of making certain that we have representation in media all across this country, because we are in some peril times right now. It's serious out there as it relates to media. and what's being allowed to get on our TVs and on our airwaves, and what's being stifled and hindered. And so we appreciate the work that NABJ does to cultivate Black journalists. And so I appreciate what you do in your capacity as well.
Well, thank you. And we've got, we've got more than 4,000 journalists in this organization, and they're all, they're trying to get additional training, holding out the powerful accountable, that type of thing. And they know how important it is to get our perspectives out there in all of our communities, not just our communities, but just in all communities. And the attack on DEI is troubling, because the DEI never said hire unqualified people. Okay,
right,
and so that's the spin. Oh, but no, it's a tech to level the playing field so that everybody has qualified people have an opportunity to do things, and we've got a ton of them here. We have a ton, and so the fight is real.
Yeah. So look, I know that you're busy and you're on a time crunch, but even staying in that space about diversity, equity, and inclusion, is there a way where the National Association of Black Journalists, is there a topic, or is there some panel discussions around how do we still do what we do in terms of media while also trying to survive under these federal constraints? Because we can't just go away. The survival of NABJ is important to our communities, but how do you do so while also protecting the funding space to be able to do the work? Because we saw what happened with NPR and PBS. Is that a real fear in terms of Black journalism?
It's a concern, fear. I don't know about that, but we've been doing what you just said from the beginning. You have to do things differently. There are different ways to fight, okay? And you have to make sure that you're fighting both offensively and defensively to try to make sure that right prevails. And that's exactly what we're doing. We don't reveal our battle plans there, just like a lot of the organizations, coalitions. That's certainly one way to go, though, and that's a big way to go. And that's what so many people have reached out to us for strategizing coalitions on how just to do the right thing. And that's exactly what we're doing now. We've been in coalitions, and we know we're fighting a little differently, but the fight is just as strong.
Well, I appreciate you for giving yourself some time and space for these few minutes to talk to us. I know you're busy, but I wish you a successful conference. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Berry.
And thank you very much, too.
Absolutely. Listen, we're going to jump straight to the phone lines because we're up against a break, but I absolutely want to take a call before we go to break. Miss Alicia, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Miss Alicia, are you there?
Good morning.
Hey, Will, I don't know if we lost Alicia. She'll call us back. Alicia, if you could hear me, call me back. We'll take your call on the other side of the break. Raquel, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Dr. White. I was calling in for your numbers on the LA program, and I believe, first of all, I think the numbers were 39,000 total for the enrollment of the LA Gator program, and I believe the 6,000 was the only number that was picked to receive the program.
You're very close. There was about 40,000 applicants.
You said, that's the numbers.
Yep.
And the data I was waiting to come back for is with what scholars received it, and what grade scholars received it. And you said the kindergarten was 80 kindergarten.
Yes.
And how many high schoolers or middle grade? Okay, I understand that. I accept those numbers, and that's the truth. Okay, but at the end of the day, okay, this is my story on the LA Gator program. I'm a parent. I'm about to walk you through my experience. Here you go. The first day of the LA Gator program was cited up, running for the program to start accepting applications. Here I go, first day, boom. I did the application for my kindergarten, because I do have a kindergarten. That's why I say this is a little, I guess, indirect to me in my situation. First day, LA Gator kindergarten, my kindergarten, we signed up. Okay, here go the numbers came back. You said they, marched wherever they marched at for so many dollars to support the program, and it backfired. A lot of these parents now in Lynch, like you said, here it is. I have a kindergarten. School didn't started. I'm in a barrier between another scholarship program. I was so scared, Doctor, to even acknowledge such another program because I didn't want to be a person to, invite any other parents to another heartbreak that I feel like I'm, still sitting, waiting for another heartbreak. And that program, I believe, is called the ACE program.
Yeah.
And when I say, Doctor, they made that program admissions, hard as Chinese.
I've heard.
Arithmetic.
Mm-hmm.
It was pitiful. I had started that application, I can say maybe a day late, prior to the annual actual initial day that they first pulled up the Scotch, because that was after LA Gator had bounced or fell flat. So these administrators over here in these provinces, they trying their best to fight for the kids that did apply for their institutions, because they are also victims in the LA Gator flop program, because they're losing a lot of funding or what have you, because a lot of the kids who weren't picked didn't receive the program. And by that being said, like we all in it, not just the parents, the institutions, and the overall, what is there for us to do?
We're gonna keep talking about it, Raquel. I'm up against a break, so I got to take a break.
Yes,
but this conversation will continue. So I hope you keep listening, because we've been talking about
this
even before. I was trying to prep families for this even before, but now that this is the reality, and there are a lot of children who don't have a school placement as of this moment, and school has already started. As a matter of fact, a lot of those babies are starting school tomorrow as well with no place to go, and that's the problem. And so we'll keep talking about it. I hope you keep listening. I got to go to break. Thank you so much for calling, Raquel. Miss Alicia, I'm going to grab you on the other side. Look, we got to take a break real quick, but when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about it. There are so many layers to this conversation. If you want to join it, it's 504-582-9422. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another hot and stormy day is on tap. We'll start with a few coastal showers, then scattered storms develop throughout the afternoon. As we get that daytime heating, though, it shouldn't be as intense as yesterday. Highs climb into the low to mid-90s, with low temperatures tonight into the 70s. A few showers may linger overnight. More 90s and daily afternoon storms continue for the rest of the week on into the weekend. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
New Orleans, get ready to laugh. Join Inspire NOLA, K20, NSNO, and the Nord Commission, a free event for NOLA teachers, parents, and the community. Friday, August 15th at the Orpheum Theater, featuring comedians Frank White, Shady Feelgood, Rob Kazi, and Bruce, with performances by DJ Jubilee, the Big Six Brass Band, PNC, and Subtweet Sean, hosted by Tanya Boyd Cannon and Wild Wayne. Get your tickets and info at InspireNOLASchools.org.
Got unpaid parking or camera tickets in New Orleans? Here's some good news. Through August 31st, you can take care of them without paying late fees. That's money back in your pocket. Just go to NOLA.gov/no late fees to see what you owe. You can pay all at once or sign up for a payment plan and break it into monthly payments at no extra cost. That's NOLA.gov/no late fees. NOLA.gov/no late fees. Don't miss out. This offer ends August 31st. Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Trying to grow your business or increase traffic to your location? We can help. WBOK 1230 AM has a number of solutions that will meet your individual needs. Give one of our consultants a call today at 504-582-9420 or email us at info@wbok1230.com. And remember, an investment with WBOK is an investment in our community. Call today.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And we are back, and it is Wednesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton, is on the phone from the NABJ conference being held out there in Cleveland. So we are going to go straight to the phone lines. Miss Alicia, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. Let me tell you, I'm on my way to school with my baby, and I want to thank that person that went out of their way to help us in this journey. My babies are here. Y'all can say, hey, Dr. Wyatt.
Hey, babies.
Hi. I just want to chime in because, I shared with you the fact that trying to get my two babies in school. I even went to the president, the chief administrative officer of NOLA School.
Yes.
And got into a debate with that person about how this ain't working. And got mad because I mentioned, when I stood before the dais with Senator Talbert, and he kept asking, he called me back to the dais and asked, why y'all keep wanting that old system? And I had to break it down to him, tell him what that old system was. That old system was truly choice. I went to 35. My older brother went to Nichols. My baby brother didn't want to go to either one of them. And my mama, he chose Kennedy, and my mama went to the school board and got a permit. That's choice. That's choice. But what we're going through now is ridiculous. And only because, I'm out there in the community and I hustled, people, I was able to get, the assistance that I got. And it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
Everybody should have the choice to go to a school that they want to go to, and also those choices should be in the neighborhood with resources. So I want to thank that person so much for helping me get mine in school and together as siblings. And one more thing real quick, please tell Lona Hankins she got to do something about that so-called bus depot over there on Reed. Somebody's going to get killed when they're dropping off people off one bus at Joe Brown and the hospital, and they have to run a block to catch the transferring bus at the library. It is absolutely asinine to sit there and watch that happen and wonder who came up with that plan. Lastly, I want to say a happy birthday to Ms. Linda Lewis of Lewis Armstrong Family Services. And I ask if anybody know Linda, want to know Linda, and all that she does for the community out of her pocket. If you can send her a blessing, and I'll put it in the chat. Send her a blessing for her birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Linda.
Absolutely. Happy first day of school to the babies. Happy first day of school. I'm so excited for them.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, Miss
Can
Alicia.
I add something on that?
Go ahead, Will.
Is she gone?
Go ahead. She listening.
Okay. So, this is Miss Alicia, who knows a lot about some of everything and systems and everything. And if this is a challenge for her, what do we think other parents might be going through, parents and grandparents? This is not the time to kind of sort things out as school is starting. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, listen, but it's a real struggle for a lot of families. And again, this idea that you shouldn't have to know someone to be able to get access to a high quality seat in a school system. That is the absolute truth. If we want to be real with ourselves, the most vulnerable children deserve the best in terms of quality education, because they are the ones who, if they don't get what they need, if they miss out on the opportunity to have a solid school system, and they're already coming from broken environments, whether it be home or community, all we're doing is continuing to disservice at every level. And that, to me, is a formula for disaster. And so I will always, until I take my last breath, advocate for public schools and advocate for access and transparency in terms of how are these folk making it into these seats that seem so out of reach for folk who live directly across the street from a school or within walking distance of a school. But folk can like fly in here from another state and get a job at one of the hospitals or something, and miraculously their children are where they want their children to be. That's a real conversation. And unless and until we're honest about it, we're going to continue to have families fighting for access to a seat for years and years and years, and folk could just come in and get it. So somebody got to make that make sense for me. And that's all I want. I want equity for all kids. I want the same type of schooling that's happening in a certain part of town in New Orleans to happen at the other side of New Orleans. And that's just what I want. I do not want public school to feel like a dumping ground for parents who can't get into a private institution, as if private means better. It does not. You want what you want for your kids. That's your choice. But that should be what we're talking about. When we talk about choice, you don't get to pick from what the choices I make for you. Choice should be real choice. And that's what you came in on. You didn't come in on a banner of anything but choice. And our families fell for that. They literally bought it lockstep. They bought into it. They're like, oh my God, I could pick the school my child can go to. Yeah, why wouldn't that be great? No, but they didn't realize you had to pick from the choices that they gave to you, because the best of choices are not even options on the one app, because they are so high in demand that everybody want to go to the 4 or 5, 6 schools that they deem quality. But what does that do for the rest of our babies? And my goal is to make certain that you don't have to fight for 5 or 6 schools. Every school should be a school that is worth going to in the city of New Orleans. And that's where my aim is. And if anybody got a problem with that, I mean, that's just, we're going to always have a problem, because to me, that's what our kids deserve.
That part, every school shouldn't be a matter of well, here are the excellent schools, here are the good schools, here are the okay schools, here are they're barely A school considerations. Every student, they did nothing to deserve poor options, poor education.
They absolutely did not.
Nothing. They are youth. They are innocent. They are looking to be poured into, and they deserve the best. And that should not be based on a family's income.
It should not. Well, listen, I'm going to continue to remind you guys that August is my 1 year anniversary on the airwaves of WBOK.
I can't hit the bell.
And in celebration of that, I promised y'all that I would give away some tickets for the Night of Comedy, Love, and Laughter, featuring comedians Frank White, Shotty Feelgood, Rob Kazi, and Bruce. Performances by DJ Jubilee, PNC with Subtweet Sean, and the Big Six Brass Band. This is being hosted by none other than Tanya Boy Cannon and Wild Wayne. Y'all remember the 9 o'clock props is on. Tell me where you calling from. Yeah, that Wild Wayne. We talking about him. That is happening Friday, August the 15th, 2025. Starts at 7:30. It will end at 10 p.m. at the Orpheum Theater. You don't have to go nowhere for tickets, because I got them. And all you gotta do is call in and have the answer to the little minor trivia question that I'm going to ask you. But it's all about Doc. So if you listen to the show, you would know. And the first person to call in will win. I'm going to give you 2 tickets, because who want to go to a comedy show by themselves? That's insane. You got to find a laugh buddy. You know what I mean? Because I'm going with my good friend Shreese, and we going to cut up. We going to laugh. We going to do all of the things. And so I don't want you in the stands by yourself. So if you want a pair of tickets, a night out of comedy, love, and laughter, this is being put on by Inspire NOLA Charter Schools, and it is a free event for NOLA teachers, parents, and communities, but you got to have a ticket, and I happen to have them. So if you want a pair of tickets, and I'm going to give away a pair each day, I might give some away on the front porch because you know that's my favorite show, y'all. So I might give some away on the front porch. But this is a celebration of my 1 year of being on the airwaves of WBOK. And what I will tell you is I never thought that this had anything to do with my career of choice because I'm an educator. But I have enjoyed it. I have loved it. It has been one of the best things that I've been doing early in the morning because if I wasn't on the airwaves of WBOK, I would be at home watching In the Heat of the Night or Matlock or something in the morning because it was with my grandmother.
You're giving away some of the answers.
Yes, my grandmother got up early in the morning. She did some toast, a boiled egg, and some sausage and coffee. That's what she did, and we watched old TV. In the Heat of the Night, Matlock, All in the Family, 227, all of that. I watch all of those shows on repeat, y'all. So y'all can talk about me if you want, but that's how I connect with my grandmother. Y'all gonna back up off me. So if you want to get these tickets, when I throw out the trivia question, I'm gonna do so on the other side of the break, and after our segment with the head of RTA, Miss Lona Edwards Hankins, we are going to ask you the trivia question, and then you're going to call in, and whoever first going to get the tickets. And I hope y'all sit next to me so we can have a grand old time because you'll get to see the softer side of Doc because I laugh a lot. I joke a lot. I love my life, y'all, for real. Struggles and all. I love it. But y'all stay with us. I'm excited. I actually do feel a little bit better. Maybe because I'm talking to Lona or maybe because I'm celebrating me. I don't know what it is.
Dr. White.
What?
It can't just be the first person who calls in. They have to be the first person who calls in with the right answer.
Oh, yeah. Well, come on now, Will. I know the people know they're not going to get no tickets if the answer's not right.
Come on.
But listen, I have a feeling that that the folk who know, they just know. I mean, if they listen, they know. But I would be so excited if Larry or Papa, somebody call. I don't know if he's going to go. He might give his tickets away. But I would be so excited if one of them called. Even James. I know James be leaned in and listening in. I know Joe Boy be leaned in and listening in, but he's at work, so he might miss the opportunity to get these tickets. But I'm excited to see who going to call. And I'm excited to see if y'all going to know what y'all know about Doc. So if you rock with Doc, this is your time to get some tickets, laugh a little bit, be entertained by our local comedians. And Tanya Boyd Cannon is a hostess extraordinaire. That's a bad girl. I would go anywhere she's singing or hosting because she is entertainment all by herself. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we will jump into conversation with none other than the CEO of RTA, Miss Lona Edwards Hankins, right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams picked up endorsements from nearly 100 faith leaders Tuesday at City Hall.
Each one of you at one given time have prayed for me during the most difficult moment of my life. Look at these 3 years and 7 months. You don't survive this without faith.
Adams, who called bribery charges against him an unnecessary ordeal, says the DOJ's dismissal proves the case was political. A Georgia man is facing federal charges after threatening to kill Jews and black people. 42-year-old Christopher Robertson posted violent videos online and made disturbing visits to Jewish sites. He was arrested after a standoff with the FBI and remains in custody. And Sean Diddy Combs' legal team has asked the Trump administration for a pardon after his conviction on prostitution charges. Trump said a pardon is unlikely, citing Diddy's past hostility during his campaign. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This year marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed our city and our schools forever. New Schools for New Orleans is sharing After the Storm, a special series reflecting on the past 2 decades of change and progress in public education. Through videos, personal stories, and a powerful interactive timeline and data dashboard, we explore how our schools recovered, transformed, grew, and what that progress means for our students today. Discover the videos, data, resources, and stories behind the 20 years of change at newschoolsforneworleans.org/Katrina20.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
are back, and it is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton, is on the line. He's calling in from the National Association of Black Journalists convention happening in Cleveland, Ohio. So he is phoning in, and, Will, you're missing out because Lona is in studio. You should never miss an opportunity to sit with the boss woman, but I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm here. How you doing, Lona? Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Will.
Good morning. Good morning.
I want y'all to know I wake up to y'all every morning.
Listen, that's
wow.
I'm excited about that. So, all things RTA. First, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
How's the job treating you?
Job is good.
Job is good.
You know, I like improving infrastructure for our people.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, there's so many questions. We'll get to this point about the Step Up forums that were held, because there were a lot of talk around the public transportation and RTA and the services, and we'll give you an opportunity to just address some of those concerns, or even to just talk about the state of RTA as it relates to your role. Miss Alicia called in prior to the break, and she wanted me to mention to you about the bus depot on Reed. She said there's some it's a dangerous aspect. Some folk have to get off the bus and run across. I don't know if it's the highway. I mean, maybe she can call back in to clarify, but I did write down.
We have a long-term plan to address that, so I'm glad she's bringing it up.
She did. She wanted me to mention that to you because she was bringing her grands to school, and she didn't know if she would have an opportunity to converse with you. So she called before the break to just get that in, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to hear what her concern was. So what are the latest initiatives that RTA is implementing to better serve the New Orleans community, especially in the underserved neighborhoods? And that is literally the type of question I asked at the forum.
So we are in the process, starting with Algiers, of hosting listening sessions. And we're trying to launch a service improvement probably over the next year. So we have a couple of listening sessions so we can get rider feedback. The first one would be held tonight at our RAC meeting, and then we have several upcoming meetings. And our plan is to understand, we understand where ridership is, but what we don't know is kind of the gaps, right? So we want to hear from we suspect we understand the gaps, but we want to hear them from the community. So we'll be hosting a listening session. The first one is, as I mentioned, tonight at our RAC meeting at our Canal Street building from 5:30 to 7:30. We have the next one scheduled on Thursday, August the 14th from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Algiers Regional Library. We'll be hosting a third one on Wednesday, August 27th at the main library, because as you know, a lot of the buses transfer from Algiers to the main library. So we want to catch riders on both sides as what is convenient for them, to have a listening session to understand what their needs are.
And I think that question, your answer to that question bleeds into the next question, which is how does RTA engage with the community to gather feedback and improve services?
We're working on all methods. We have folks who are on the ground taking the bus, getting surveys. We will take table chairs at major stops to get information from our riders. We also partner with our the rider advocacy group, the RIDE. And on a monthly basis, we have what we call our Riders Advisory Council. It's typically the first Wednesday of the month, where riders can come in, talk to staff, engage with staff, and listen to staff. And that happens every month.
I have a little idea, and I don't know if you're already doing this kind of thing. I feel like your brain works like my brain works. So what if we do something like they do with the secret shoppers, where you give us like a little rubric and we go ride the buses for you, and we can give you our feedback based on what we should be seeing or experiencing, something like that?
Well, we are looking into doing that. The question, is the how, right? So QR codes, right? Putting those on the bus. But I think we're, one of the things we've talked about internally is a contract for a secret shopper.
See, I decided already. Sign me up.
Okay.
I will absolutely ride the bus for you and tell you what I think. I think it's. Do you know I don't ride the bus in New Orleans, but when I went to Hawaii, that's literally what I did. I just thought it was so fun to ride the bus because I was in a whole nother place.
Public transit is amazing.
I don't know why I don't ride the bus here, but I just don't ride the bus here. I mean, because I have a car mostly. But when we went to vacation in Hawaii, we rode the bus.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't like get a car or Uber.
Right.
We literally got on public
Yes.
transportation. It was very fun.
Yes.
Yes. What were you saying,
Yeah.
Will?
Yeah, as you know, I've been on the bus and the streetcar. I've used that as a part of my alternate transportation. One of the things that I want to tap into is your rider advisory meetings. So, can you speak to when and where that is, and if a rider would like to participate, whether it's one meeting or on a regular basis, what does he or she have to do?
One, just show up. It's a real informal meeting. It happens the first Wednesday of every month from 5:30 to about 7 at our Canal Street building in the boardroom. And we have riders come in and tell us their great experience, and we have riders come in and tell us their most horrid experience, right? Because we know every day is a new day. Our operators do their best, but we also know the energy on the bus sometimes shifts. And so we're working with our operators to de-escalate situations, because our operators deal with a lot.
Yeah.
They deal with, I just walked out the house yelling at my kids, so therefore I'm angry at you, or, dealing with mental health issues that we have. So they deal with a lot.
Yeah, and we appreciate
Well,
them. Go ahead, Will.
And I want to give you and your team a shout out on La Paz, the app, because I find it very helpful and useful, because, as you said, things happen. So it's not like you plan for a bus to break down, or you plan for somebody in a car to block a streetcar. No, you can't just pull around. And getting those updates on the lines that are of interest to me is very helpful. And if people are using RTA and you're not using the app, I think it's really a helpful tool and resource, especially with planning ahead.
Thank you. We're working hard to make sure that the rider-facing information gets better each day.
Listen, we have a caller on line one. Good morning, I'm Sharice. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. You're on with Lona Hankins, the CEO
Good
of
morning.
RTA.
When I heard Ms. Lona was going to be on there, I just had to call and go, happy birthday to you.
We planned this, by the way.
Good morning, my baby.
Happy belated birthday. I had to give you that, Queen, because you know how they always talk about people just sit in silence and do their work. Ms. Lona, people don't realize she just be in the silence, being a little hood Santa. If she hear about a cause, you don't even have to contact her directly. You're going to hear pew pew, and she's sending something off, to help whoever's in need. And I love that about her, because it's always genuine, and you can tell that's just who she is. But, Doc, I did not know you didn't catch the bus, because I would have been had you on it. I love catching the bus. I catch it regularly when I have to go somewhere, because I'm on the Legion Field, and it kind of is easier to get, in the French Quarters or whatever through that way. And I always tell people, when you have young people that are ready to start driving, you want them to start driving, you need to put them on the bus, like the Broad bus, the St. Claude, the bus that goes across, so they can start learning the arteries of the city. It's the best way to kind of connect how the city is connected for the young people before they start driving. So, and my king loves the bus, so.
Thank you, Ms. Howard, for calling in.
I think that's an excellent point, because there are some key routes, key buses, and I'll use one that I use, 91. I mean, if you've not been a driver, or even if you've been a driver, it's a different thing to ride that bus and go from place to place to place and see the different neighborhoods along the line and take it all the way to the end. And then back, because when you are driving, especially when you're new, you're being more on guard, and this allows you a chance to see the neighborhood, see the streets, kind of see the traffic flow. I think that's an excellent point.
Well, I bet you didn't see getting serenaded in your morning your morning conversation with us. But who better? Martrice loves singing, so that's a. I'm telling you, soon she told me, she called me, she said, you make certain that you tell Miss Lona. I said, I told Miss Lona happy birthday on her birthday. She said, no, tell her on the air. So she decided to call and sing to you. So there you have it. How is RTA addressing concerns around reliability or frequency of service, especially during peak hours?
So we had a challenge about a year and a half ago with our fleet. So we ordered 29 new vehicles. They are in service, and we are monitoring the schedules. This past summer, we did a schedule adjustment to shift some of and reduce the number of late night hours we were performing and early morning performing, such that evening peak we could hit those. So our teams are constantly evaluating the routes, and 3 times a year we adjust our schedules, and they'll make those schedule adjustments at those times to make sure that we are improving and continuously improving and delivering to our community to what it so deserves.
Oh, absolutely. And so are there any events, acknowledgments, or community outreach efforts planned to mark the K-20? I don't like to call it an anniversary per se, but the commemoration of Katrina. Is RTA partnered in any way?
We are, of course, partnered with the city and their events, but we are doing some internal small things to commemorate it. Our team has put together a beautiful documentary of the experience of our workforce, and so we're honoring and doing something internal for our internal community, because for some of them it's like all of us, right?
Yeah.
We handle it differently.
Yeah.
And once we have completed the documentary, we will launch it on our YouTube page.
And I guess that leads into this, because we know hurricane season for New Orleans it's unpredictable. Like sometimes we feel like we can ride out a supposed storm, but Katrina taught us that you just never know what the impact will be. So how is the agency working with the city and state officials to coordinate emergency evacuation or transportation plans in the event of an impending storm?
So when the mayor declares an emergency, right, and declares that the city needs to be evacuated, the RTA rolls into action. We suspend fares, and then to evacuate our people, all they need to do is grab a small bag and go to their local bus stop. And then the bus will pick them up from there, get them to downtown, and then from the downtown transit hub or our key hubs, they will then be shuttled to the Smoothie King or the city's evacuation location.
So was that a part of the evacuation plans during Katrina?
I don't know. I do know that the buses were serviced, and the buses were utilized. I don't know what the plan. I was a private citizen, so I don't know.
I asked that because when I think about, one of my cousins is always highlighted for his efforts during Katrina. His name is Jabbar, and he went on the bus lots for the yellow school bus, and he took a bus from the lot, and he is single-handedly responsible for evacuating most of the folk out the Fisher Project to safety. And they talk about his story all the time, but it's almost like a footnote. What he did was nothing short of heroism. Right. And so I was just wondering if, because I know we have a bus born somewhere for the RTA buses, I never heard if RTA was doing anything around evacuating folk, because you and I both were just regular citizens at that time. But I do remember couple folk taking school buses to help evacuate people after the city had already, kind of just left them there.
Yeah, I do know from the documentary that our team was very instrumental on getting people to the Superdome.
Okay.
On those days, right before the storm, and then our team waged some really the team that stayed behind waged some really heroic efforts to get themselves and their families out of harm's way.
Yeah, because I think that's not talked about too, Lona, in this idea of the folk who are like first responders or people who work for the city who just can't up and leave they can get their families to safety, but they have to stay and make certain that whatever they're responsible for doing gets done.
Yeah, this video showed 4 to 5 feet of water in the canal facility. Some of the team members talked about going and getting boats and being on the side of the Broad Street overpass. Others talked about walking and encountering the Gretna police.
I know about that story, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like RTA public employees were told by the Gretna police the same thing. Civil servants, public servants were told the same thing as the regular citizens. Not that there would be different,
No, I
right?
get you. I follow you.
Right,
but
they're
you work for the city.
they're first responders,
you're
right?
here trying to keep it safe as much as you can, putting your life in harm's way, and then to be met with that type of vitriol. Like, I absolutely know where you're going with that. And so, is there a plan in place not only for you, but for the safety of your staff in the event of a hurricane? Is there a plan of action to keep them safe, or how does that work? For your
Absolutely.
purview?
We have an internal hurricane plan, and we will service the city until it's as long as it is safe. And then once the winds get to a certain length, we cut it off and we get our teams out.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's important to know, because I think folk, and I said this to like the police chief and the levy chief, folk don't think about the first responders and their responsibility to stay here and put themselves in harm's way to make certain that the citizenry has the first opportunity to get to safety. So I appreciate the service that you do there.
Well, one of the reasons we also get them out is such that we can get them back safely to help reopen the city
When it's
as timely as possible.
That's why you the CEO. I mean, listen. So what road, no, I didn't want to say what road, what steps has RTA taken to improve its storm preparedness and ensure continuity of service during hurricane season?
So we have CEAs and agreements in place to relocate our buses to higher grounds after we've utilized them. So we have that in place. Like I said, we shut down the buildings. Our buildings are hardened for the most part. We have emergency backup generators for those who may have to stay and for the systems that have to run. And we follow and execute. We have tabletop drills, and we execute and we follow those plans.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you are doing what needs to be done to ensure that the services to RTA are beneficial to the community. What is your response to those who are seeking public office, who are, in a sense, saying that the standard of RTA isn't up to the level that it should be? What do you say to those folk?
I say we're better than we were, and we are every day striving to become better. But also, some services take more money, more resources. And when you think about the system of before Katrina, there was 300 buses. Today we have 140 buses. The cost of those buses, the type of technology is much more expensive. Let's not talk about tariffs, right?
Yeah.
Right? All the things that are happening politically across the world are impacting us. The cost of labor is higher. But our revenue stream is pretty much the same revenue stream that was the same sales tax that was enacted in 1980s. And so I believe this agency is doing more with less. And I believe internally, we are working hard every day to figure out where and how to become a much more efficient agency than what we were even 5 years ago.
Right.
We've successfully secured over $170 million in federal grants. That's an unprecedented number for this agency. Prior, they didn't really go after competitive federal grants, and that's from the staff internal to the agency.
Yeah.
And so, we are not the agency we were pre-Katrina. We're not the agency we were 5 years ago. And with our capital program, in 5 years, our community will look a whole lot different. I'm so excited about the Downtown Transit Center. We have an RFP that's about to launch in the next 30 to 45 days. Our shelter program that we're building out and doing all the groundwork so we can go after competitive dollars there. The transit hubs that Ms. Alicia's talking about, we have one of the federal grants that we've secured is to make those transfer locations where you have multiple buses transferring a much safer location. So the first one, there's two we're starting to design first, is the New Orleans East and the Gentilly location. And if you think about the library, the main library, the New Orleans East Library, she's right. In order to make that exchange, you got to cross 6 lanes of traffic.
Yeah.
So how do we design something that is safe for our pedestrians, such that we can pull in find a location, pull in, and all the buses like they do in other cities, and even perhaps get our people out of the elements. This transit agency has existed for I don't know how long, and there's never been a location where our community can come in, get in out of the elements, take a respite, and then make their transfer. We're bringing that to this community on Canal Street, Canal and Basin.
And how soon will that be up and going?
We are hoping to start design by the end of the year, Will. It'll take about a year to design and 2.5 years to construct.
All right.
But you
Well,
you welcome feedback.
Oh, absolutely.
You welcome feedback. So if any folk, whether you're a regular citizen or you're a person seeking public office, if there is a concern as it relates to the efficiency of RTA, you as the CEO are saying that you welcome.
I am happy to meet with
that
anybody,
feedback.
every candidate. So if they want to know what the RTA is doing, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. I have conversations with people all the time about the RTA. It's almost like when I was in schools and working at the schools, and people say, when am I building that building? I get it in the grocery store. I know my board gets it at church and everywhere. And man, my board is so about the community and so excited to deliver really great resources to the community. And, if I got it, we're going to do it.
Well, you have the floor for the next 30 seconds. What are your closing remarks for those who are listening straight from the CEO of RTA?
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your encouragement, and keep looking out. We are striving every day to improve the lives of New Orleans through its infrastructure.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing, and if y'all are listening in and you're in the chat, drop some happy birthdays for the CEO of RTA, Miss Lona Hankins. Happy birthday to her. Happy birthday. Listen, I appreciate you not just for your service through RTA, but for your service to the culture community, for your service to the community itself. I'm not ever in a space where there's a need and you're not on the phone asking me, how can I help? So thank you for who you are to this community. I appreciate your work all around this city holistically. Thank you for what you do. We've been in conversation with the CEO of RTA, Miss Lona Edwards Hankins herself. I hope you leaned into the conversation. If you missed it, you could always play it back. RTA is on the move, y'all. We got to go to break, but when we come back, we going to keep talking. I hope you keep listening right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of The Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter, politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch The Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Fridays, right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. First up, a reminder to take it slow on the road as more students return to class this morning. St. John, St. James, and Terrebonne Parish all start the new school year today. Students in Orleans Parish began their back-to-school journey on Monday with a staggered start. Then a building in the Lower Garden District is set to be demolished after partially collapsing along Magazine Street yesterday afternoon. That building near Grigri and Lily's is the second building to collapse in the area in less than a year. Another building collapsed on the same block last December. No one was hurt in either incident. Finally, two court cases we're keeping a close eye on this morning. Daniel Callahan will be rearraigned today, and sources say he could take a plea deal. Callahan is accused of killing and kidnapping a La Roger mother and her daughter last June. He's scheduled to be in federal court in New Orleans at 2 p.m. Also in court this week, Antoine Massey, one of the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Parish Jail back in May. His attorney is requesting a speedy trial. The prosecution must now file a response to that request before a pretrial hearing, which is scheduled for this Friday. Right now, his trial for the escape is scheduled for October. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
Got unpaid parking or camera tickets in New Orleans? Here's some good news. Through August 31st, you can take care of them without paying late fees. That's money back in your pocket. Just go to NOLA.gov/no late fees to see what you owe. You can pay all at once or sign up for a payment plan and break it into monthly payments at no extra cost. That's NOLA.gov/no late fees. NOLA.gov/no late fees. Don't miss out. This offer ends August 31st.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton, who is on the line all the way from Cleveland, Ohio, at the National Association of Black Journalists. We have a caller on line 3. Good morning, Renee. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Renee must have forgot.
Did we lose them?
Renee must have forgot they were on the phone. You can call us back, boy. Renee. Listen, well, that was a good conversation with
really
the CEO
was.
of RTA,
Really.
and she gave us some good insights, some good updates as it relates to the functionality of that entity. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do from this point on out. But as I promised, there are a number of issues that we got to touch on before the close of the show. I don't know if you're aware, Will, but the second line parades are about to face some challenges as NOPD announces stricter enforcement of regulations. Parade producers say communication from the NOPD was late and the outlook is confusing. So what do you think about this idea of, I'm hearing that their insurance to have certain transportation vehicles inside of a second line parade is going to cost upwards of $5 million, like $5 million in insurance to have trolleys and things of that nature a part of the second line parade. And I think that this is getting ready to be a very tense standoff between the culture and our leadership in the city. Excuse me.
Right.
And they're talking about these increased regulations impact in the early season parades, which may not have time to make the changes. The advocates are saying that NOPD's efforts to explain the situation was late and the delay in communication was disrespectful. Go ahead.
I understand the use of the word late. I understand. But it's not that it's late. It's like it's not inclusive in the process of developing the policy. So it's, for me, it's not late because you developed the policy without us. Then you're giving it to us with very little notice. That's not acceptable. I was at the mayoral symposium on Monday night, and this issue came up, and each of the 4 candidates who were there addressed the issue. The bottom line is that what has happened is not the right way to go about this. We have had second lines a part of our culture, as a part of our city for decades and decades and decades. And some have been going on for a long time, others are newer. And of course, all of these second lines are not something that people plan a year in advance because there are different reasons for our culture to have second lines.
Well, Tamara Jackson, who is the founder of VIP Ladies and Kids, she founded it in 2003. She said the police are seeking to increase insurance requirements on the clubs and particularly on the flatbed trolleys that serve as floats and some second lines carrying costume riders. Harnesses will be required and portable toilets will be banned on the vehicles. She said, I have floats and trolleys in my parade, but I'm unclear exactly what needs to change before the next procession, which is in March. She said we need clarification because we just don't know. She also staged what is considered a sit-in, I want to say, where she had a number of organizations. She called for the Second Line demonstration at Gallia Hall on Tuesday. Roughly 50 members of Second Line clubs, including the Treme Sidewalk Steppers, Original Pigeon Town Steppers, and Original Prince of Wales, attended, dancing to fiery music by the New Groove Brass Band. As if to emphasize the intergenerational character of Second Line parades, a child barely beyond his toddlerhood tapped a steady rhythm on a snare drum. That's how young we learn music in our community. They put drumsticks in the kids' hands very early as they put a bottle or a pencil in their hand. This is naturally New Orleans. And so what do you make of this? Because the conversation on social media is framing it as if it's an attack on the culture of New Orleans. Will?
Right. Yes, that's right. Yeah. And the problem is you can't develop a policy that changes things, especially one that costs a lot of money, and say, well, we're telling you now you have to do that. That's just unacceptable. I'm glad City Council is taking this up tomorrow at City Council chambers for anybody who's available and interested. But we shouldn't have to have such a class. We should have community involvement, consideration, conversation, discussion, debate. Let it get hot if we need it to get hot. But the problem is with having this thing come up at this point, how do you expect people to respond other than to be angry and upset and frustrated? I'm very disappointed with what has happened, and I'm counting on City Council to make some changes and adjustments, and for Chief Kirkpatrick and her team to listen to our culture bearers and those who organize.
Well, as a part of this conversation, there's another conversation happening. And listen, I know Tamara very well. We've done a lot of work in the space of crime prevention. She is the founder of Silence is Violence. And her organization and mine, we do a lot of work together in the city as it relates to crime victims. And so I know her very well. And having her at the helm of this or being in the forefront to kind of bring the culture community together, I feel good about that because I know that she's about the business of the city, and she wants to make certain that everybody has a equitable opportunity to thrive in this community by way of the culture that they actually cultivate, which is why people want to come here. People come here for the culture of New Orleans, and the culture of New Orleans is predicated on its people. You can't have the culture without us. That's just plain and simple. So Tamara is asking everybody to attend the Thursday council meeting where this controversy will be further discussed. So if you are within listening ear of my voice, I'm asking you to support the community and its culture by attending Thursday's City Council meeting if you can. It is important to also note that City Council members Freddie King III and Oliver Thomas were the two council folk to engage the demonstrating crowd outside of outside that Tamara put together. They were able to talk to them and interface with them, but in order for you to talk to the full council and have your opinions heard or your concerns heard on the dais, you can go to the Thursday City Council meeting where this conversation will be discussed further. But in terms of this conversation about culture, about respecting the fabric of this community, I attended a meeting yesterday at Edna Carr High School as it related to the field that is being erected on the grounds of Edna Carr. There's a practice field there. There are stadium seats and lighting and a scoreboard that they've put up to simulate real in-game scenarios. You know, they want to make sure they have a clock because the games are done by clock. You don't get to practice the right way if you don't have the simulation that a real game offers. So they put all of these things in place at Edna Carr. But the community that surrounds Edna Carr, which is the steeplechase community, there's been some pushback and some issues as it relates to that particular, those improvements around the practice field and also the way the band practices. Now, I was in the meeting, and not only did I hear the things that were said, I wrote them down. Because what's concerning to me is the microaggressions and the undertones that I heard. Because one of the ideas from the CEO, Jamar McNeely, was that, you know, Berman is not in the condition that it ought to be to best serve our children. And not just the children of Carr. Berman is used by L.B. Landry. Berman is used by a lot of the community folk, soccer clubs. It's a community park. But it is in deplorable condition. And you've heard me say that, Will Sutton, on the airwaves a multitude of times. It's in deplorable condition. And so one of the things that the CEO was saying was that our children deserve to have quality atmospheres, not only in our school building, but also in their extracurricular activities. And so we should not be made to bus our children to a deplorable park and practice on a field that is not conducive to their health or their safety, because the field isn't in the best shape. The bleachers are not in the best shape. The grass around the area, there are often drug needles in the grass. It's in deplorable shape, right? And we know this. We've been talking with the NAR Commission. We've been talking with folks to be able to get funding to get that place up to standard, right? So one of the comments that was made at this meeting was this idea that why can't y'all just focus on Berman? Why can't y'all just get Berman what it needs to be and then y'all can go over there? I have a problem with that because that school, because they kept saying our community, my community. Well, Edna Carr is a part of that community as well. It's those children's community as well. And I don't know, why anybody will push back on a high-performing school to be in your community, because we also know what that does to your property value, right? But the fact that every issue that they had was of concern in the first community meeting, Mr. McNeely came to the table with plans already in place to address those concerns. They complained about the lighting. He addressed the lighting. They complained about the fact that if you sit in the bleachers, you probably can see into their homes. He put up netting so you can't see. He even talked about the drainage around the school so sitting water wouldn't be there. He addressed all of those things, and yet they were still pushing back. So what it sounds to me like, and this is just Dr. Wyatt talking, me. This is not Inspire NOLA. This is not any other parent who was in the room, because I'm also a graduate of Edna Carr. My child is a graduate of Edna Carr. That is our school. That is also our community. I'm from Algiers, born and raised. So let me be clear when I say this. What it sounded like to me was, why y'all have to be in this neighborhood? Why can't y'all just focus on fixing what's going on at Berman so y'all could be in that neighborhood? It's insulting and it's demeaning to hear folk talk about our babies as if they don't deserve to practice at their own place where they go to school. It's insane. almost every school around here has a facility where they can practice on their grounds. Nobody's playing games there. They're practicing there. And then the insane thing was this issue with the band. I'm so sick of these folk around New Orleans acting as if our children can't walk their own streets and practice their own cultural experience in their communities. It's insane. This is the second school that I've heard where people are complaining about the band. It's insane to me. But they have no problem going out on Mardi Gras Day or going out at all the parades and being entertained by those very kids who have to practice that craft to be able to put on the type of shows they put on for Mardi Gras. So
and who told them to move into that neighborhood?
Well,
where the school has been, where the band has been.
Well, let's be very clear. We're going to be fully transparent here. Edna Carr used to be at 3332 Huntley Drive, still in a community, but they moved to 4400 General Maya, which is in that community. But that site was a hospital site, Joellen Smith. It was a hospital site, dilapidated, closed down. Nothing was happening there. I could assure you, the moment that school built on those premises, whatever value of that home went up. I could almost assure you that. That's a high-performing school, right? There are not any issues with police or anything that would bring a negative connotation happening on the school grounds. That's not happening. So the fact that there's so much pushback, and let me be very clear too, not all of the community had a problem with it. There was a woman, white woman too. She was at the meeting and she said, y'all could come play inside my house because I love it. I love the fact that it's happening. I love the band. Y'all give so much joy to my mother. I think her mother is either 86 or 96. So much joy to my mother. She loves to hear it. So it's not the whole community, but it bothers me when our kids are doing what we ask our kids to do and we still find a reason to push back against them and have something negative to say. Because all of your concerns that you put on the table, the entity, which is Inspire NOLA Charter Schools, they addressed it. So you're not going to just move the goalpost when you want to or when it's comfortable for you. If you had a problem with the possibility of seeing into your homes, they fixed that. If you had a problem with the lighting, they told you they fixed that. They even told them a certain time that the lights will be off daily. So you will know if they're on longer, then you might need to contact somebody and let them know. But they've given them everything they've asked for. They even told them they'll create a way to contact them and let them know when activities are going on around the school so that they can understand what the extra traffic is. They'll be more communicative. But Will Sutton, do you know what one of the folks said? They have a problem with the cars being in their neighborhood. They got a problem with people being on the levee. The last time I checked, the streets belong to the city and the levee is public. I don't understand how you could attach that to the school. The community people walk the levee. Community people park their cars and walk the levee or sit on the levee and eat or run the levee, push their babies and strollers on the levee. The levee doesn't belong to you. The levee is for the community. And as long as nobody's blocking your driveway or impeding you from getting in and out of your house or blocking your mailbox, you can't tell nobody where to park at in your neighborhood. Are you insane? So these are the things that was coming up. But I just have an issue with it because I feel like if we're going to talk about the children and the youth in such a nasty, vitriol way all the time about the crime and this and that, certainly we could protect the children who are actually doing what we want them to do and practicing in their craft, in the band, and in school, and getting the grades we want them to get. One child stood up. She was the last person to speak, Will Sutton, and she said she couldn't understand. I'm paraphrasing here. She said, what would you rather us do? Practice in the band or come inside your house? That's what she said.
Wish I could access the bell.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Yeah.
And so for me, I went to the meeting to speak, Will Sutton, but guess what? I didn't have to open my mouth. I just sat there and took notes because I thought CEO handled himself well. The principal, Dr. Tamika Washington, she was there and she was very forthcoming in terms of welcoming any, she said she have an open door policy. She welcomes the feedback, but see what the community is not doing is going directly to the school or to the administration by way of Inspire NOLA. They're going to the school board and they're making complaints with NOLA Public Schools about the band, about the field, about the lights, about the cars, instead of directly talking and engaging the school. And I find that to be disingenuous. If you actually want real community buy-in and a real partnership, you don't go above us to complain about us when we're right next door. We're your neighbors. come and have a conversation with us. They even complained about the annual alumni picnic that happens one day a year, where all of us go to the school like everybody else around the city and enjoy the nostalgia of being from that institution. They complained about that. And so, I mean, I have an issue
central.
when
That's central. That's another part that's central to our culture.
Well, that's the point. That's the point I'm making. We are being culturally attacked on every front. Our brass bands can't be in the front and on Frenchmen playing their music because folk who have bookstores and whatnot are complaining to the city. Our children can't walk our streets and practice with the band so that they could be ready for parade season because we have neighbors talking about it's interrupting their Zoom calls. And now we have these folk, talking about people sitting in the bleachers could possibly see into their homes. And I'm like, so you think the folk going to the practice field to watch their children practice or whatever they're doing, what they got binoculars to look? I just don't understand where you're going. But to the credit of Inspire NOLA, they just put netting up. They just put it up. They didn't fight. They didn't go back and forth. They just solved the problem. But now, once all of these problems are solved, you come to the meeting with additional issues. We can't keep moving the goalposts. State what your concerns are. Work in unison and in partnership with the school and with the network to address your concerns. But please don't think that you're going to ever take down the excellence by which we offer to our children by way of a practice field for a multi-state championship program. Right, multi-state. They have, 7 at this point? State championships? And they've been 11, 12 times? You should be applauding what is happening at that school and asking them, how can we better work with you to ensure that our neighbors feel like we have some sanctity in our homes, but also that you're able to provide the high-quality experience that our kids deserve. But calling the school board to complain on us without giving us the benefit of addressing your concerns is disingenuous to me. It feels very much disingenuous. And so that to me is a whole cultural conversation about how I think folk are moving here trying to change the landscape of New Orleans by way of complaining their way into change or filing grievances so much so that the city council has to address certain things. And this is just yet another way that I feel like the fabric of New Orleans, in my opinion, is truly under attack. Like we are not New Orleans if our culture isn't what it is, if music is not being played in the street, if people are not able to dance freely in the street and enjoy themselves, get their crawfish and their daiquiri and do whatever they want, in terms of fun, as long as it's safe. That's why people come here, Will. They don't come here for anything other than the way we do us. The way we speak, the way our music sounds, the way we move to the beat of music. That's why they come here. And we don't want people to steal that, from us, especially from our kids. Hey, Pop, I want you to hold on for me for a second. We're gonna take your call really quickly. Do I need a break or what? We need a break, Pop. I'm gonna catch you on the other side. Will, you gonna still be there?
I'll be here.
We're going to go to break. We'll come right back and hear from Pop Jones right here at WBOK 1230 AM what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Another hot and stormy day is on tap. We'll start with a few coastal showers, then scattered storms develop throughout the afternoon. As we get that daytime heating, though, it shouldn't be as intense as yesterday. Highs climb into the low to mid 90s, with low temperatures tonight into the 70s. A few showers may linger overnight. More 90s and daily afternoon storms continue for the rest of the week on into the weekend. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Good morning, Pop. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you very much.
How you doing?
Dr. Wise for taking my call. And Will, I've been to Cleveland a few times.
You have? You have? You're going to have to tell me about Tony Hawk.
I hope you enjoy yourself. How's the weather?
It's pretty nice. I mean, it's a bit cooler than it is at home. But really nice to get with some community folks last night. And I'm looking forward to that. But you got something on your mind, don't you?
Yeah, all the time.
What's going on,
Pop? My mind be running in circles, man. I've heard a couple of callers call in and say all them people do is call in. They ain't doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I say this. I've always said this. We could have solved a lot of our problems yesterday. But just like slavery, you have to make sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
So you ain't going to solve nothing if you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you helping the enemy. See, they already know what you're going to do. So that's why they do. You ain't going to vote. So many things that you're not going to do. So they can pass any kind of law, anything or soon they're going to take your dreams. Tell you can't dream no more. They'll tell you how much water you can drink. So that's where the problem is, Dr. Wise.
Mm-hmm.
We would still be in slavery if we wouldn't have done something and made some sacrifice. Who draw all the people here in New Orleans? Rex? Comas? See how they blocking all, see what they're trying to do to the second lines? I mean, Stevie Wonder could see this.
Mm-hmm.
So to a great extent, I agree with the caller. He could be a part of it. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing nothing either. You're accusing the callers.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you call and give a solution?
Mm-hmm.
If you're accusing the callers of not giving a solution, you're just calling in. Why don't you give a solution?
Yeah. Well, Pop, I don't know if you've been listening, but you know this month is my year on the airwaves of WBOK. So
well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, Dr. Wise.
What's up?
Are you going to have anything else that might, you might celebrate your year?
Yeah, I am, and I'm gonna have a full day on the 18th where the callers will call in and we'll just talk about my year on the air, and I'm gonna be on the front porch that day as well, and then I'm gonna share the news that I have with you on the 18th. So I hope you're listening.
All right, I will be.
Yeah, we might do a little gathering over here too, Pop. You gonna come?
I'm an old man.
You gonna come to the gathering if we have a gathering over here for me? At the station? You gonna come? You and your wife gonna come?
Come where?
To the station. If they put together a little shindig for me, you gonna come?
Oh, you if the creek don't rise. Just let me know. I'm listening. If I don't lose my hearing.
All right.
I got you, Pop.
All right.
I appreciate you.
All right. I
Have a
listen
good
every
one.
day, Dr. Wise.
Thank you so much.
We
I
know it.
appreciate you for listening too. Thank you, Pop.
All right. Okay.
All right, honey.
All right.
Go ahead, Will. What you say?
No, I'm looking forward to the 18th.
Yeah,
but
I am too.
I just want to say, y'all can chime in between now and the 18th.
Yes.
But if you got some good stuff for the 18th, you can save it up for the 18th.
Yeah, because I'm gonna make the announcement on the 18th. But if they want to call in and talk about it, we gonna talk about it. Look, somebody text me and say, when is the shindig? So now we got to have a shindig. But let me tell y'all something. If you planning on buying some soda and some candy with your food stamp card to bring to my shindig, the governor said, you can't do it. So Louisiana's who got federal food stamp assistance through Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is known as SNAP, will soon be unable to use those benefits to purchase soft drinks, energy drinks, or candy. And I'm certain that list is more expansive than those things, but basically the governor in a social media post announced that the U.S. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins has signed off on a waiver that allows Louisiana to exclude soda and candy from the purchase with SNAP benefits administered by the state. How do you feel about that, Will?
Well, I have to say, some of those things I think I'm going to be okay with not buying bubble gum with your SNAP.
I'm laughing. Because the same person says shindiggity. Everybody looking forward to the little shindig. Now y'all gonna have to plan a shindig now. The people want to get low.
You're gonna get us in a jam because now we're gonna have to get the jazz market or something for a bigger event space.
We need a shindig. I feel like SNAP benefits, as long as we're able to make certain that the families can buy the food that is necessary for their children to eat.
That's right.
I'm not pushing back on no candy and soda. You know what I'm saying? You do what you want with that. But I'm just concerned that the SNAP benefits are available to the most vulnerable communities who literally rely on it for sustenance. And so as long as they're able to have access to it where they can buy foods necessary to feed them and their children, I'm not gonna stand up for this in terms of like getting in a tizzy about it. I'm not, soda and candy, cool. Okay, whatever. I'm not about to fight you on that. As long as we're not talking about cutting SNAP benefits from the most vulnerable communities of people, I'm not getting in the way of that. I got a bigger fish to fry. So I just wanted to know how you felt about that. Also, what do you think about this idea? Because we got a couple minutes about the closure of Planned Parenthood. We're going to hear from our congressman on Thursday, but he actually has a response to it. And of course, he opposes it, and he's talking about how dangerous it's going to be specifically for New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and the surrounding areas, because I don't know if you know, Will, but New Orleans and Baton Rouge has an HIV crisis, an STD crisis going on. And Planned Parenthood is integral in STI testing, birth controls, cancer screenings, gender affirming care. This is the place that provides all of those things. It's a nonprofit. And so the fact that the governor is championing the closure of it is quite scary to me, especially when you see the HIV STD numbers on the rise, particularly in places where predominantly Black, low-income communities are. And I think this is going to be a very dangerous realization. It's going to be very dangerous. And I can see numbers of deaths rising. I can see the HIV numbers rising, STD numbers rising, folk who depend on Medicaid going without valued health care. It's just going to be scary. And so, but they're celebrating it as a major win, the governor and his administration.
Right. Yeah. The problem is that Planned Parenthood for too long inaccurately has been defined as an abortion clinic.
Yeah.
It is a healthcare facility.
Well, we know that's why they're attacking it. We know that. I think that's the real premise behind the attack on Planned Parenthood, but it's going to do more than, be attack on abortions. They provide so much care that's outside of abortions. And it's just a necessary entity, and I think it's scary, Will. I really do.
It's very scary, and because these organizations are based in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, one of the things that makes them successful is the respect and the trust that they have built with their patients, with women and families, across the state. I mean, there are people who trust Planned Parenthood, and they will drive in. They don't live in Baton Rouge. They don't live in New Orleans, and they trust them.
Yeah.
And they rely on them for their health care.
Yeah.
And to have an organization like that close is very detrimental.
Yeah.
Very detrimental.
We gotta go. It's
I
been
know.
quite the
I know.
show.
I know. Okay.
I want to thank CEO of RTA, Lona Hankins, for joining us this morning, talking about all of the updates. I want to thank those of you who called and those of you who engage in the chat each and every day. I just have one quick announcement before we go. The Power of the Jury Box with keynote speaker attorney William C. Snowden and guest speaker Keith C. Smith will take place at Community Book Center on August the 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. It'll be a discussion on diversity in jury service. The admission is free, but you can reserve your tickets at powerofjurybox.eventbrite.com. So once again, that is a free event happening at 2523 Bayou Road, Thursday, August 7th at 6 p.m. The Power of the Jury Box with keynote speaker attorney William C. Snowden. Get your tickets at powerofjurybox.eventbrite.com. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch, we're grilling and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta White, my super producer Naira Sanders, and my co-host Will Sutton. We gonna see y'all tomorrow. I'm giving away some tickets to the comedy show this week, y'all. So please tune in. Please tune in. You can sit right next to me. We gonna have a mighty good time. This is WBOK 1238 and what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
Have you heard the secret of what New Orleans is talking about? I promise everything will be okay if you're listening here on the airwaves. It's that WBOK 1230 AM.
From the campus of Xavier University. WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent won't replace Fed Chair Jerome Powell, who's been criticized for not cutting interest rates.
In the end, there are numerous people that are qualified.
Trump is now eyeing Kevin Hassett, Kevin Warsh, and two unnamed candidates for the role. Black Texas Democrat Representative Jasmine Crockett slammed President Trump at a Phoenix Move On rally on August 3rd, calling him a foul name and accusing Republican lawmakers and the Supreme Court of enabling his unchecked power. She urged Democrats to adopt a tougher playbook. And a black teen is making history in Texas as the first high schooler to complete a plumbing program and pass the state